Most people are not suffering because life is hard. They are suffering because their own thoughts are working against them. Today, we will understand how to stop the mind from becoming our enemy and make it our greatest ally. My dear friends, the most powerful battles we fight are not with the world, but within our own minds. Every morning, before we even step out of bed, hundreds of thoughts rush in, some encouraging, some confusing, and some so heavy that they steal our peace even before the day begins. We clean our homes, our clothes, and even our phones. But when was the last time we cleaned the space where we live the most, our mind? If the mind is restless, even a simple day feels exhausting. But if the mind is calm, even challenges feel manageable. Today, we are going to reflect on something extremely important: how to transform your entire life simply by learning how to control your thoughts. Not by controlling the world, not by controlling people, but by mastering the one thing that has always been in your hands, your inner narrative. And with that, let us begin this journey of inner clarity through our 4 keynotes. Imagine waking up one morning and everything around you is exactly the same room, the same people, the same responsibilities, the same challenges. But on this day, your mind decides to focus on gratitude instead of stress. Immediately, your room doesn't look dull, it looks peaceful. The people around you don't feel annoying, they feel meaningful. Your responsibilities don't feel heavy, they feel purposeful. Nothing outside changed, yet everything feels different. How? Because your inner world shifted first. This is the power most people underestimate. The world you experience is not the world as it is, but the world as your mind perceives it. When the mind is filled with fear, every opportunity feels like a threat. When filled with doubt, even your strengths feel like weaknesses. When filled with insecurity, every delay feels like rejection. But when the mind is filled with clarity, courage, and positivity, even difficulties become stepping stones. The same situation that once made you anxious now becomes a lesson. The same person who once triggered you now teaches patience. The same failure that once broke you now transforms you. Let me narrate a simple story. A student once asked his teacher, "Why does my mind create so many negative thoughts?" The teacher smiled and said, "Because you have trained it to." The student was surprised, "But I never trained my mind to think negatively." The teacher replied, "Every time you allowed your mind to wander without attention, every time you gave energy to fear, every time you repeated the same doubtful thoughts, you were training it without realizing." The student then asked, "How do I untrain it?" And the teacher gently said, "By becoming conscious of what you allow into your mind from this moment forward. Your thoughts are not random guests. They are loyal followers of whatever you repeatedly feed them. If you feed your mind anger, it will search for reasons to be angry. If you feed it complaints, it will find imperfections everywhere. But if you feed it peace, it will look for calm in every storm. If you feed it compassion, it will soften conflicts. If you feed it discipline, it will empower your actions." Most people try to change their life from the outside. They chase new jobs, new relationships, new places, new habits, hoping something external will fix something internal. But the truth is simple: until you change your thoughts, you will carry the same problems into every new place you run to. You don't need a new life, you need a new mindset. And when the mindset changes, the same life begins to look brand new. Therefore, remember this timeless truth: your thoughts shape your reality. If you learn to direct your thoughts, you automatically direct your life. My dear friends, the biggest illusion people live under is the belief that thoughts just happen. They assume they have no control over what the mind produces. But let us understand something deeply. A thought may arise automatically, but your response to that thought is entirely in your hands. And the first step toward gaining this power is awareness. Most people react to thoughts instantly. If a negative thought arises, they immediately feel sad. If a fearful thought arises, they panic. If a doubtful thought arises, they lose confidence. If a past memory arises, they suffer again, even though the event is long gone. Without awareness, your mind becomes like a wild horse dragging you wherever it wants. But with awareness, you become the one holding the reins. Awareness means observing the thought rather than becoming the thought. It means noticing it without letting it control your emotions. It means catching the mind before it leads you down a path of unnecessary pain. Imagine you are watching clouds in the sky. They come, they go, they change shapes, but you simply observe them. Now imagine your thoughts as those clouds. Some are dark, some are bright, some are heavy, some are light, but none of them are you. You are the sky, vast, spacious, untouched. The problem is not the clouds themselves, but our habit of letting the clouds define us. Let me share a small example. Suppose a thought comes, I'm not good enough. Immediately many people believe it. They feel discouraged, they lose motivation, they shrink inside. But with awareness, the response changes. You notice the thought. You don't fight it, you don't fear it, you simply observe it and say, here you are again. And just like that, the thought loses its power. Awareness is not about removing negative thoughts. It is about not letting them rule your life. Even the most peaceful minds have negative thoughts. But the difference is they don't get stuck there. When you become aware, you begin to catch harmful thoughts early. Thoughts like, what will people think? I always fail. Nothing ever works for me. They don't value me. These thoughts drain your energy and distort your perception. Awareness stops them from hijacking your peace. Remember this, you cannot heal what you do not see. Once you begin observing your mind, you will realize that many of your problems were never created by life. They were created by your unconscious thinking. Awareness frees you from that trap. Once you become aware of your thoughts, the next step is transformation, replacing the weak with the powerful. You cannot leave the mind empty. An empty mind quickly fills with old patterns. You must consciously plant stronger thoughts that elevate you. Think of your mind like a garden. If you do not plant flowers, weeds will grow by themselves. In the same way, if you do not intentionally fill your mind with strength, discipline, gratitude, and purpose, negativity will grow automatically. Not because you are a bad person, but because the mind follows the path of least resistance. Whenever a weak thought arises, fear, anger, jealousy, insecurity, you must replace it, not suppress it, but replace it with a stronger one. If a thought says, I can't do this, replace it with, let me try. If a thought says, I am alone, replace it with, this is my season to grow. If a thought says, I always fail, replace it with, every setback is shaping me. If a thought says, people don't care, replace it with, I don't need everyone, I just need clarity. If a thought says, I'm not enough, replace it with, I'm improving every day. This is not about lying to yourself. This is about telling yourself the truth that fear tries to hide. One day, a young monk asked an elder, how do I stop negative thoughts? The elder replied, by giving them no place to sit. The young monk didn't understand. The elder continued, when a negative thought comes, immediately sit a positive thought in that chair. There is room for only one. Your mind can either build you or break you, depending on which thought you seat at the head of the table. When you consistently replace weak thoughts with empowering ones, something remarkable happens. Your mind begins to trust you. It begins to follow your lead instead of dragging you behind it. Slowly, you become mentally stronger, emotionally stable, and spiritually grounded. This is how transformation begins, not with giant steps, but with small replacements repeated daily. My dear friends, controlling your thoughts for one day will not transform your life. It will give you a good moment, a peaceful hour, or maybe a calm morning. But transformation requires consistency. Every day you brush your teeth, every day you eat, Every day you walk, every day you bathe. Yet when it comes to the mind, the very thing that affects every single part of your life, most people don't train it daily. Consistency is what turns a practice into a habit into a lifestyle, and a lifestyle into a new identity. If every day you guide your thoughts for just a few minutes through reflection, observation, or mindful awareness, you slowly rewire your brain. The old patterns that once created anxiety begin to lose strength. The new patterns that build confidence begin to grow. Day by day, your reactions change. Your emotional muscles strengthen. Think of a seed. If you water it once, nothing happens. If you water it occasionally, it may sprout but will die quickly. But when you water it every day, even if only a little, it grows into a strong, unshakable tree. Your mind is the same. Consistency is the water. Transformation is not about perfection, it is about persistence. Some days your mind will be peaceful. Some days it will be noisy. Some days you will feel strong. Some days you will feel tired. But if you keep returning to your practice, observing, replacing, guiding, your mind will eventually align with you. The greatest freedom in life is this: the freedom to choose your thoughts. And every day you choose empowering thoughts over destructive ones, you take one step closer to the life you truly desire. My dear friends, your life will not change because of luck, circumstances, or miracles. It will change the day you decide to master the one thing that has always been within your control: your thoughts. The world outside may not always obey you, but the world inside can. And when the inner world changes, the outer world rearranges itself accordingly. Be patient with your mind. Be gentle with yourself. And remember, the most powerful tool you carry is not in your hands, but in your head. If you learn to guide your thoughts, you will transform your life in ways you never imagined.